Touch me right here. Kiss me
Like this?
right there.
I'm so shy.
Don't be afraid.
Like that? It was the best thing since sliced bread. Pictures of a body dancing in my head. Doing things I could only dream of. You had to know for me, girl, it was love. Follow you around like a puppy on a string. My coffee comes in, then the telephone rings. Reminiscing in my bed alone with myself in my hand. I'm hard as a bone. Just a young kid, all up in his feelings. All for what? A sexual healing up in my head day and night. When darkness falls, fantasy takes flight. Chasing the feeling, need release. I'm touching girls my age, feel the crease. Most of those girls weren't even ready to lay in bed at night. Holding a teddy, love, not to be crazy young boy. Body invasion, now you talk me where you want me. Obligated to let you flaunt me. 13, in a virgin, pristine, conversion, adult perversion. Sex acts, conversion, 13, a virgin, pristine, conversion, adult perversion, sex acts, conversion. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another live episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aline. What's happening? What's popping? What's dropping? You know. Now I'm feeling like I have no choice. Get out of my head. Boys, I'm chasing tail, running the streets. I won't love no more. I'm a hard thief. Since you learn me, toss and turn me. You wanted sex, good and lonely. No clue what you do. Both of us together don't make two. This ain't fiction, a sex addiction. Pain affliction is the mission. Unbeknownst to the doer, the outcome is dramatic skewer. So confusing, but amusing. While we're using, household diffusing. Not just delay, so you say don't value me. My heart's in the way. Finding a balance between love and sex. Mind befuddled like I'm under a hex. She reinforced inside of me. Between the stars, where you want to be. 13, we got another great show today. Pristine. In my defense, how many of us don't realize we're being defensive when somebody clearly is telling us we are? Do you do it? Yeah, you do. Do you know when you do it? We're about to find out. Sex acts, coercion. Now is the time. New year, new beginnings for many. New attitude. Time to make some changes. Oh, not the other person. You. Thanks for tuning in. 13, another good one at hand. Pristine, conversion, Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion. Affection, rejecting, body selection, no love for the person, just an erection. Coming is easy, latex squeezy, need for the flesh. Free me, what's love got to do with it? She once tried to see me, now I'm spewing it. Took away my virginity, having sex with a child, dramatic affinity. 13, yeah, virgin. Pristine, conversion. No auto tunes here. Adele, perversion. All voice. Sex acts, coercion. Coercion.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, in front of the cameras, setting bait, media propaganda blitz that just grenade. They're waving to the crowd, spewing empty promises. The applause is allowed. Damn, you still fall for this. It's a dog and pony show, threatening the wolf. Donkeys and elephants, a three-ring circus, rope-a-dope. They flawed us in, hook, line, and sinker. They only want followers, not independent thinkers. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Up and away. Superheroes to many, saviors for some, a taker from any. They appear distinguished, the 1%'s toys. Their souls extinguished, their minds destroyed. For you against you, all with the same breath. With us against us, it's a loyalty litmus test. Patriotism, dictator, confusion. Schizoid prism is a democracy illusion. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Yep. Yeah, their faces are two-tone. They call it a chamber, believers of the manger. In God they trust not, fallen angel, no stranger. In it till they die, from their seats they will cry. To our faces telling lies, they're complicit, no surprise. The ceiling is high, they think the same of you and I. What they call woke is a politicized form of divide. All lives, no matter, just listen to the idle chatter. They're hiding in plain sight because they fear the smoke and splatter. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Uh-huh. Great show today. We're going to talk about being defensive. Yeah. Some of y'all get defensive when y'all watching this show. He ain't talking about me. Talking about itself. Growing from the propaganda that's sowing. They're hiding the hand, want to keep you not knowing. Peace seems to come through war, but war doesn't bring peace. Residual effects are an intermittent release. They think you'll be called, then they'll call one for you. Presenting arms as though they adore you. They're juvenalistic in nature, maturation miss. They turn the other cheek and receive the Judas kiss. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, Men who are on 11 days into the new year, what's he gonna be? Sweet potatoes. Men who are on their faces are two-tone. Is it business as usual? Their faces are two-tone. Or you really gonna do some changes? Their faces are two-tone. Because they're not. Yeah, their faces are two-tone.
I say then, I was no longer have.
Yeah. America. Just a figment of your imagination. Just look it up. Get the definition. Then look around you. Reevaluate your position. Dreams and nightmares. Hopes and fears. Some big, some small. Got your trauma on recall. We put that old boogeyman in this place many years ago. But they still unpack them sheets annually. You know, the recruitment, you know. Gotta do it. Shit. We ain't sure. That's why they hiding in plain sight. It's what they do. It's not just us that after you too. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Apparently, elected officials need to be brought up on their awareness as to how they came to be. There's term line, whole line, and no line. Jobs, justice, and equality do fall under your purview. Maybe some of y'all need to join the protesters too. Here for me waging war on your own. Standing at the fence, neither side, your home. Screwed us all, now you wanna talk dirty. A lot of God, Mr. Sink with your party. Who's gonna take the fall? What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. It's easy to talk tough from the podium. Yeah. Never step foot in the hood. See what's really holding them. Standing up there, scolding them. Stirring the hate and bolting them. Fuck around and find out we holding them. In our first rodeo, we older than them. Original man, we're soldiering them. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. We've got the experience. We know how it's done. They're rotating gatekeepers, keeping the bad chasers on a run. Grown ass men, not sirs but sons. Vying for positions, but dying by gun. Our aim should be them. There's us, chasing paper that breathes in God we trust. Hustlers hustle, the players play. Public servants all bought and paid. Gamblers and dirty deeds, violators of law. Proven track record, constituent contingency clause. Just collateral damage, Just need your vote. Just without ice. Just a sacrifice. What's up, y'all? Ain't none. Ain't none. Ain't none. Ain't none. Ain't none. It's my latest release, The Devil's Burn.
This is one of those rides that goes until the wheels fall off. Certainly not for the faint-hearted or those who believe that turning the other cheek will be a deterrent for the predator who wreak havoc on God's creations, blaming the victims for their being victimized, hoping they'll continue standing on their weak principles, power when they return to violate them.
When you're living in the mouth of madness,
and again,
there's always something coming your way. Whether it's tune, skit, stripped or strewn, brick, blitz, tsunami or monsoon. Hey, baby. It's inevitable in the course. I see you watching. After a while, it all tastes the same. Staying in your lane is the name of this game. Never look back, it'll drive you insane. A nightmare for sure, chaos a theory. I just want to scream, but no one can hear me. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Parents' lives riddled with strife. Their unresolved or traumatic life. Then they bring into it a child. Wanted to feel good, but just one night. Both no good, then one took flight. I thought you understood. What a life they gave me, pleading God come save me. Profess religion's words enslaved me. 3/5 of a man they made me. Why must I plan for a future when being present was never my choice? Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like you're not, everybody gets a turn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. The devil's burn. Again, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Lane. We're going to talk about being defensive, what that looks like for you, to you, educators, and the other person. A religious leader patting himself on the back. Colonizers, indoctrination, true knowledge they lack. They're merely babysitters for the capitalists, doing the bidding of the nationalists, basking in their passiveness, damn socio-pacifists, also naive, just have to laugh at this. In the best interest of the child, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how America's courts dishonor this, incarcerating parents because of positive piss. In a free world, again, legal cannabis, not a nightmare for them. A manufacturer's bliss. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Know that you're listening to all original music by Sabir Aleem. Trades on democracy, just running amok. Flee from insurgents, your tail, you're tough. Don't look now, he's back, you're out of luck. Dictating the mood, house in session. The popular vote, the people's obsession. In 2028, no Democratic Party selection. Ancestry soul, rotten stone, behold. Category for deportation, the move was bold. Illegal transportation, hiding the hand is old. The majority plot, see the 14th Amendment rot, saving their slot, minority not now, sinking in, skin too thin to win. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. And again, welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aleem. What's going on, y'all? What's happening? We're 11 days into the new year. Everybody made all these promises to themselves about what was going to be different this year. Yeah, what they were going to do different. Who they were going to have in their circle. What job changes they were going to make. What pursuits they were finally going to get on top of, going after those hopes, dreams, and aspirations, right? No longer procrastinating, getting on top of that thing, making it happen. So what have you done so far? 11 days is a long time to still do nothing, to still do much of the same. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. People keep saying to you, yo, you need to make some changes. You keep telling yourself that you need to, but you don't admit it to other people that you need to make those changes, right? Because when you tell somebody else that this is what I'm going to do different this year, that these are the changes that I'm going to make in my life, right? You have to hold to it. Because when you don't hold to it, people who legitimately care, and even your haters, bring it up. What's up, man? You still hanging with Moo Moo and the crew? You still out there with Big Mike, Smash, Rock? You still hanging out with them same people? Talking about you going to make changes. Well, they ain't did nothing in the past 30, 40 years. You've been hanging with them now 15, 20 years. And each year you saying the same thing. I'm going to get away from them dudes. And half of those 15, 20 years you spend in prison. You spend achieving absolutely nothing. You spend more time in the courthouse than you own your own damn house, in your own house. Right? Ultimately, that's what you're doing. You don't know what a home is because you've never been stable. You've been in county jail. You've been in state prison. And you're on your way to the feds.
And once the feds get hold of you, you know it's a wrap. And that's going to be the cycle of your life if you don't do something different. Oh, but we're not just talking about the criminal population. We're talking about every Mary, Jane, Joe, Sue, and Harry, because it's the same thing is happening. You're in the same failed or failing relationships. You know it's no good. You know it's going nowhere, but yet and still, you still hold on. Just one more time. Just one more year of your life gone. I'm going to go to school. Going to go back to school. I'm going to get my GED. I've seen guys complete more time in prison than they have in their educational pursuits. I've seen guys spend so much time in prison that they could have came out a doctor, given just a little more hope to their pursuit of happiness, of continued freedom. I've seen it. I've counseled these men and women. I've seen what my life was like before I decided to make changes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's real easy to get into an argument with somebody about the truth. Yeah. It starts at childhood. Just think about it for a minute. It started at childhood when your caregivers would tell you, just tell the truth. And you would tell the truth, and you would get a consequence in many instances for telling the truth, but that's life. But being truthful, right, solidifies within the self righteous living, which is already in you. It's in all of us. Not self-righteous living, because there's a difference. Righteous living, being in alignment with the Creator. We're all his creations. That spark that he gave to that egg and that sperm cell. When that sperm cell eased into that crevice and screamed, yes, yes, I've made it. But without that spark, no existence. But with that spark came conditions unbeknownst to you in that moment. That's life. That is life. In that moment, when that spark happens, that is a life. So all you pro-lifers and all this, the spark brought life. See, that's part of the problem in society, is that we're not in alignment with the Creator. We're not reminded by ourselves that we are the creations, that we have all of his attributes, right? That we are made in his likeness. Come on now. Come on. We're not, see, and I'm not talking about religion here. We have to look at our own humanity. And we have to see from that point of that spark that we become in existence. And everything, those 23 chromosomes that come from mom, the 23 chromosomes that come from dad are now in us. So when your child acts like you, yeah, and you get offended, you get upset, you just saw you. You just saw you. You sit there every day and you look at your child. Well, you act just like your father. How do you know they're acting like their father, not acting like the mother? That's your own rejection of that which lies within you, right? So as children, we become acclimated to truths and lies. And the lies become the truth. The truth belies. The lies become the truth. And you have to make a decision as to which one you want to adapt to. And oftentimes it's not the caretakers perceptions of life that matter to you. It's your own perception. It's your own perception. It's how you see the world. How did you come to see the world in the way that you do? The child is born totally self-centered. It's all about me, 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 me. Yeah. Yeah. You come out singing me, 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 me. Right? You come out singing. And then you start getting consequences for that position that you take. Because everything is about you. It's your toys. Even when it's somebody else's toys. I want to play with that toy. I want to eat what they're eating. I want to wear what they're wearing. And depending on the caretaker's upbringing, will determine how they react or respond to that attitude. The lack of gratitude. See, you're sitting there eating a steak, but they're sitting over there eating shrimp. And you want the shrimp because you heard all these things about the perception of eating shrimp and lobster, you know, being able to afford those kind of things because you're not eating the top grade of steak. You're eating the bottom for the steak. It doesn't matter to you. Somebody told you about this 18-ounce porterhouse steak. Gives the perception of rich wealth because you can afford to buy that. And then when you get it, you see it really tastes the same. The flavor wasn't what was in your mouth, but it was the idea of. That's what made it taste better. Idea. Satisfying your hunger. It don't matter what kind of steak it is, for real. It's what you tell yourself. So when you see your little friends at school and outside playing and they wearing all of these designer clothing and things like that, you believe that you should have those things too. Why don't I have those things? Well, how come you can't get me those sneakers? Right? I'm poor. We poor. Mommy, we poor. Daddy, we poor. How come I can't wear designer stuff too? I come up in the age where we went shopping at Penn Fruit, and in aisle 13 is where you got your sneakers. Yeah. And over there in aisle 11 is probably where you can find some shirts and some pants. And then you go to aisle 6 and grab me a loaf of bread, honey. That's the era I came up in. I came up valuing work. I was working. I was doing exterminating, 9, 10 years old. My uncle taught me how to mix the chemicals, all those kind of things. Right? I was thinking the other day, like, what is poor? What does it mean to be poor? Poor is a social class. Either you have it or you don't. That's not poor because you don't have it. But we are conditioned to believe that we have to get this education beyond 12th grade in order for us to be able to make it. And society, the capitalist society we live in, is set up as such. You first have to get your high school diploma. Then the associate's level degree became the equivalent of a high school diploma. Then the bachelor's level became the equivalent of a high school diploma. And then when you start wanting to get other credentials, you have to have a certain credential in order to be able to. You have to have a certain a diploma in order to get a certain credential. It's all tied into money. So you spend your life going into debt, thinking you're moving forward. You think you're moving forward. Okay, I completed 12 grades. This was supposed to be preparing me for grades 13 and up, graduate, undergraduate. There was no preparation at all other than reading and writing. Think about it. That's all you actually learn, grades 1 through 12, K through 12. You didn't learn anything else that was preparing you for college other than certain areas of discipline such as sitting down, shutting up, raising your hand, asking questions, reading the board, doing your homework. You really didn't learn anything that was going to prepare you for college. So you have to spend more money. Even to go to a community college, you have to get grants. We'll give you the grant. And then, well, you can get this amount, but you don't need it all for school, but you do use it for supports, paying your rent, paying your card notes, stuff that's going to enable you to continue to go to school, right? And some of us abuse that. And then we find ourselves, even at the associate's level, being, having X amount of dollars, to be able to spend. And then before you know it, you're on a bachelor's level, you're on all these different levels, and you find yourself in debt. And in the meantime, then you got to get this credential, which is another debt, which becomes an annual debt, right? So no matter which way you look at it, you can never be free of debt just on education alone. Speaking of loan, so if you don't do those things, right, you just stop at 12 and then you pursue business. Okay. In order to pursue business, you have to have certain things. You get all these posts that people put in social media tell how you can get all this money. You get an LLC. The bank has to give you $150,000. The bank has to give you this stuff. The bank has to give you that. You want to get a house? Well, we can help you with that too. No matter what level it is, you want rent to own, whatever it is. Okay, so what's your credit score? You see how all these things, wait a minute, all these illegitimate things that have been put in place, all in the name of capitalism, fixes your mind to believe that you have to do all of these things. And you haven't even learned how to live yet. You haven't learned about your own humanity, because humanity is not taught in school. They have a class that's titled Humanities, but look at it. Read it. Look at the curriculum. A lot of things were taken out of school. Vocational programs, driver's ed, sex education, which became health education. There's a whole lot of things that began to change the condition. And all this information gets passed on to the child. So as a child, you're hearing all these different perceptions, getting everybody's perspective, right? Little Johnny and little Mary who sits, in your classroom with you about what's really going on outside of your home. And you begin to encapsulate all that information as being a world view, when it's a view from a child just like you. But people come from all different walks of life. But all that information that you get from little Johnny and little Mary in school and in the playground, all those places, you bring home. And you start telling your caretakers what life is all about. And you believe it. Because you trust these people more than you trust your own caretakers. Because why? These are your peers. This information is coming from your peers. They got to know the truth. They got to know what the world is like. They're my peers. These big people want to tell us everything else, and they don't know what they're talking about. They're old. Always talking about back in the day. Well, it's this day. But the same values and principles are applicable. You're just not taught that at home. You have to be taught those things at home. Things changed in our society because we allowed it, because we dictated as such, because of our own conduct, because of our own adaptation to this capitalist society that we live in. All of that. So as a child, you interpret the world through the eyes, the lenses of your peers. That's why you got to be careful who you have around you. So when your parents are telling you to stay away from little boo-boo and Big Mike and them, they're telling you that for a reason, because they have been there, done that. They have seen that behavior before, and they know that you're going to be influenced by it. And they keep telling you to stay away from them. They keep telling you, you ain't got no time for boys. You ain't got no time for girls. You ain't got time for none of that. Right? You need to devote your time to learning how to live Because as soon as you get involved with that little boy, that little girl, life changes because that's your focus now. But no, we don't do that because we get a glimpse of other adult-like and adult behaviors. And we want to be part of that. We want to have parts of that because we've seen the parts. We've heard the sounds and we want that too. Not realizing the responsibility with sexual acts. Yeah. And sometimes it happens right under our very noses. And that's why we have so much incest going on. That's why we have so much so many sexual assaults that happen to children. Sometimes by the caretaker. Usually by somebody close to your child. Somebody close to us, because we want to feel, we want to experience what it is that others, adult-like people, because adult is his own definition. Man considers you to be adult predicated on a number. Understand what I'm saying? So we have these things to take place upon us as children because we want to indulge. We want to be involved in these kind of things. We want these kind of things to be part of our lives. By the time we reach adulthood, we have been given so much bad information that we don't know if we should turn left or we should turn right. Or do we keep going straight? It's easier to keep going straight. But we need to sometimes see, well, it's 3 roads here. I don't want to keep, this one ain't been giving me much of anything. Let me try the left road. Yeah, then you come to that intersection again, the fork in the road. Well, do I keep going to the left or the right? I don't particularly like what's been really happening on the left. Maybe on the right is more exciting. And that's how we live life. Traveling different roads, going different routes, getting different information, encircling ourselves with different people with different ideas, ideologies, conditions, traumas. And that's how we spend our lives. And then we get to a point where we start realizing some things. And it's usually an event that takes place in our lives that is the jarring experience. It's like you get shook by it. I'm going to change. Do something different. It's motivated us. It's angered us. It's frustrated us. We got to do something different. You can't have the same players at the table and get something different done. It doesn't work that way. If people invite you to a table, and when you sit to that table and you look around that table and you see one of those people who you sat at the table with before, who produced no results, that one person there can change the dynamics and the course of everything. Even though there's 11 new people sitting at that table, that one person, why is that one person at the table? They have an agenda, first and foremost. We all have an agenda, right? But what is their agenda? See, sometimes you just have to remove yourself altogether from everything and wait your turn. Wait until it comes to you. Wait until it comes to you. See who connects with you, how they connect with you. Because the longer you're around, you start seeing everybody at that table over and over and over and over again. And you see no results. I'm 64 years old. And I can tell you how many people I've seen at the same tables over and over and over again. We already have the information about how the system treats us. We already have the information. And when I say us, I mean people, humanity. We already see how we are treated. We are collateral damage to the money makers, the movers and shakers. People who you walk past every day will never know that they are part of that system. Still no change. The same people talking the same thing, doing the same thing. But we've had people dangled in front of us, people who are people that these movers and shakers want us to believe in. And we find all these people to believe in. Whether it's about food, healthy eating, unhealthy eating, whether it's about what type of glasses to wear, what type of fashions to wear, whatever it is, you select who it is that you want to follow. That's why social media is so big and so toxic and so unhealthy. Because nobody is who they say they are. Sometimes you don't have to be who you say you are. Sometimes you're being who you want to be. But you're saying you're somebody else to appease the other people who see you in a particular light, the people you surround yourself with. Until you get to the point in life where it doesn't matter what people think about you, what they say about you, realizing that they're going to talk about you anyway. Only then can you be your authentic self. The goal was always being your authentic self. People are not going to like you no matter what. You're going to find people who just don't like you. Doesn't matter the reason. But we spend an insurmountable amount of time defending ourselves, defending our integrity, defending our ethics, defending who we're with, defending what we eat, defending everything about ourselves all the time. When you are always in defense mode, you can't play offense. You can't play offense. You have to learn how to play offense and defense at the same time. I was watching uh, uh, Mayweather fights the other day. Was it Dazing, whatever that station is? Back to back Mayweather fights. And one of the things that the commentator pointed out was how great Floyd Mayweather is at making the transition from offense to defense in a blink of an eye. Yeah. The transition that you have to learn how to make in life. You have to learn to play offense and defense in a split second. If you're always playing defense, it's a difficult life to live. But why do you always feel the need to defend yourself? What are you trying to uphold within you? When you're being defensive all the time, you can't be you because you're always protecting you. Today's subject matter is about being defensive, right? The article Psychology Today, y'all know I love me some Psychology Today. Robert Tybee, Tybee, sir, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Robert is an LCSW, um, and the title of this article is Defensiveness Takes Its Toll on Relationships. How to stop, right? Defensiveness helped you as a child, but it's destructive as an adult. So let's go ahead and jump into this article. Key points from this article. Point one, defensiveness is about arguing over facts, blaming, and making excuses. That's what defensiveness is. All ways of coping as a child. As a child. Key point two. Defensiveness is destructive to relationships because problems aren't solved and emotional wounds are created. Key point three. The keys are knowing when the argument is getting heated, stopping the pattern, and not triggering each other. And again, that last point made it very clear that there will always be within you the child. Because you're an adult, I don't care how old you are, that which you experienced as a child resides within the confines of the mind. We call it rubber banding in the clinical setting, because from time to time, we go back to a point of our childhood when dealing with, when confronted with certain situations in our lives. So that child is still there. Stop making yourself believe I'm an adult now. Stop listening to people who tell you to stop acting like a child and arguing about the fact that you're not acting like a child. You're not acting like a child. You're acting like the child with the unresolved as an adult. That's what you're doing. Look at the things that you still do today that you were taught by your caretaker as a child. My penmanship, I take pride in my penmanship. So did my mother. She had us practice every day. Sunday through Saturday, we practice it. The perforated lines, they had to go. You should be able to do that now without using the lines. That's why they give you the perforated part and just the straight lines. Right? I take pride in my penmanship. I take pride in how I speak. Not with the slur, not the slur, that's the overbite. So if I say sit, I have to be very clear to not be lazy in saying it because it'll sound like something else. But how to speak is important. How to sit at the table when eating meals. You don't put your elbows up on the table. You don't sit there and smack. No, you chew with your mouth closed. Now, for those of you who do chew with your mouth open, you just got offended. And now you're defensive because that's what you do. It's okay. I'm talking about how I was groomed as a child. You didn't necessarily have that grooming. I did. I'm talking about the things instilled in me as a child that are still presently used and benefited from as an adult. I just want you to see how simple, how small the thing could be that you learned as a child that you still do as an adult, but beginning to see the benefit in it. I bet you understand now why you want to be in the house when the lights come on the street. When those lights come on for a lot of other activity in the streets. You want to be in the house today. You don't want to be out there in the streets at night unless you have to be. You go where you're going and you come back. Ain't no, hanging out. We don't live in those kind of streets today. As a child, up until around the age of 17, 18, I could walk the streets all night long and wouldn't have to worry about being robbed. I grew up in the projects, South Philadelphia projects, Wilson Park to be exact. But we could walk around and didn't have to worry about being robbed. That shift started happening later on. I mean, people were robbing houses. There was crime happening. But we could just like be out in the streets, and now predators. And that's why everybody's carrying guns. That's why everybody's carrying guns. It was different then. Right? So let's go into the article. They have a little piece here, discussion between a couple people. They're talking about an interaction. You're being defensive. No, you are. You always do this. Start gaslighting me. You're the one who starts the name calling. But you. The fact that Allie and Jack are arguing over who is being defensive means they both are. What started as a discussion about the kids' bedtimes has devolved in minutes. The topic is out the window and has been replaced by an emotional and fact-driven slugfest. Now remember, a fact-driven slugfest. Right? We're not even talking about the kids anymore. Now we're talking about each other. Now it's personalizing. And remember, the information that you got came from where? Lil Johnny and Mary, your playmates. It came from your peers. You weren't sitting around a bunch of adults getting this information. You were getting it from your peers, kids just like you. Right? Defensiveness is exactly what it sounds like. Defending yourself from what seems like a threat or attack. It's easy to fall into, especially in couple relationships, but it stirs frustration and resentment that can, over time, wear down the relationship. And when arguments reach their crescendo, problem solving is derailed, and emotional and even physical injury can result, fueling the next argument. You see the rabbit hole? See, if I think I'm right and you think you're right, where are we going? Then you start saying hurtful things. Then you start doing hurtful things. Because one of the biggest reasons why arguments turn into physical confrontations is because the other person doesn't feel like they're being heard, doesn't feel like they're being listened to, doesn't feel like they're being understood. So the next step is to put your hands on the person. Like they're going to listen now. That's really going to make them listen. And that's what it's saying here is fueling the next argument. Right? It's based on perceived facts of each individual. Let's go to the article. Let's look at the faces of defensiveness. Arguing over facts. It was Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday. I've got the text. My mother said, here, you both get into the weeds over whose reality is right. Your emotional brain has taken over and tells you that if you can get the other person to get the facts right, they will calm down. It never works because the other person's rational brain, like yours, is offline and can't process anything you're saying. You can't laugh and be hurt at the same time. You're at a funeral. We're going to talk about hurt at the highest level. You're at a funeral for one of your most loved family members. Having a conversation, somebody tells you something funny about that person. In that brief moment, The brain sends you a signal and you laugh because now there's been a shift for that moment from the hurt to joy. And then it goes back. You understand what I want you to understand? So when somebody says, well, no, you can be, okay, make the argument. You were still hurt. It didn't change anything. In that moment, it allowed you to reflect on the joy of that person. And even though it may have aided in you grieving more, you still had that moment. When you're in conflict in any kind and it's emotionally driven, you will always come out on the poop end of the stick because it doesn't allow you to think rationally. In sports, what's the idea in basketball, right? To win. That means you got to talk some crap. You got to get in the opponent's heads. So you start a little scuffle. It elevates the aggression, right? That's where taunting comes in. That's the reason why taunting is a penalty. Because when you start taunting your opponent, you have moved from the professional responsibility of the athlete to a personalization of the action. That's why taunting is a penalty. You have to understand that. As stupid as we think it is to stand over a person and do like this and do like that. What is it? It's nothing. It is something. You're not focused on the athletic responsibilities of what it is that you're participating in. That's why taunting is a penalty. Next point. Making excuses, blaming the other person. Like lying, excuses are learned ways of avoiding responsibility and hopefully the other's anger. Blaming the other person for your actions shifts the focus from defense to offense. Now, we're just talking about defensiveness and offense. Let me go back and finish this. I only get angry because you interrupt me. Again, sidestepping responsibility. Right? Yeah, sometimes I get upset. Sometimes I raise my voice. Right? That's a reason given. You just raised your voice at me. Right? Instead of focusing on listening and understanding that the person is upset, agree or disagree. We can talk about and debate that after we focus on what's happening right now. Okay, he's raising his voice. He must be really upset. Right? But let me hear him out. Let me hear her out. Because obviously I've hit a nerve. Obviously what I've said, not done has triggered something within that person to be acting this way. This is not a pattern yet. It's something that we see that has just happened. If I raise my voice, it's a good chance that this ain't good. So let me hear him out. Because he typically doesn't raise his voice. I've not seen that pattern. I've seen a pattern when he gets frustrated that he does raise his voice. But when we're talking, when we're interacting, I don't see it from him to me. That's what makes this different. So that means that if you're in a relationship, you should be observant of your partner to know when they raise their voice, something ain't right. Because I know their patterns. I know how they usually are as a person. If he's cussing, he's either really loose right now or he's pissed off. You should know these things about the person you're in a relationship with. So by the time you get to a person who you're not in a relationship with, you should already know that there's a problem if this person is reacting that way. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You should know. And you should be handling it in a way that I know when a person acts this way, that there's something missing here in this interaction. We need to find what's missing in this interaction so I don't continue to trigger that person and that person doesn't continue to trigger me. Again, don't sidestep the responsibility that you have. Again, it says here, I only get angry because you interrupt me. Because for a narcissist, this is great. Because the narcissist is going to always tell you that you're interrupting them. They're going to always make you interrupt them by their own conduct, by their own behavior. If I want to out from the conversation, what's the first thing I'm looking for? Your interruption. See, there you go again. There you go again. That's the shift. Interrupting each other, bringing up the past, and gaslighting is the next point, the next phase of being defensive. Emotions are running the show. You both are pushing hard to make your point, using the past to fuel your argument, and gaslighting to dismiss everything the other person is saying. Right? So, gaslighting is something that's very common. They just finally gave it some other kind of title. They call it something else, but it's what it's always been and what it's always going to be. It's the rabbit hole. It's the laundry list. It's the things that people pull out in an effort to avoid taking responsibility and being held accountable for their bad behavior. I don't want to talk about this. I had an ex used to always say to me when we had to confront something, see, I can't do this. Like, what is this? What this are you talking about? Confrontation is scary for some people. Confrontation is necessary if you're going to bring about change in any relationship. You have to confront the issue. People see confrontation, hear the word confrontation, and automatically take it into a fight situation. No, it's merely speaking to something that's going on right now. So I'm going to confront this issue. I'm going to confront this issue. We look at people's body language. When somebody starts, well, you're going to keep talking to me like that. I'm not going for all of that. We ain't doing that. What does that look like to you? So now you go into fight mode. You taking off your earrings, you taking off your hat, your glasses, and all this stuff. Oh, this is so again. That's a nonverbal cue for you to leave me alone. Just sitting there talking and all right, what? That's a non-verbal cue to leave you alone. This is not going to go well. So that means when you see these things, you have to be responsible in how you confront this issue. But as soon as you say, well, you ain't got to do all of that. You ain't got to take your glasses off, start taking the earrings off, and like you're gonna be about it because I can be about it too. Now we done totally got away from what's happening and took it somewhere else because I don't want to confront it and you don't want to confront it for real. And when you start doing all of this, and it's just a means to the end, which is going to be a fight and an argument. And we ain't even going to talk about what just happened. We won't get there. the last phase that's pointed here. Shutting down and leaving. If either of you gets too overwhelmed, it's easy to shut down and tune out or physically leave. I just said that. I'm out. Gone. Bye-bye. Real simple. Now, another person's interpretation with about you leaving is far different than yours. You're walking away because of what? You learn. If it's going to look, if it look like it's going to go bad, leave. If it look like it's not going anywhere, leave. I've seen this before. I know where this is going next. The first thing the police going to ask you when they come is, well, why didn't one of y'all just leave? Makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. But when you locked into pride and ego, you're going to stay. You're going to make your point. It's only going to escalate into chaos. That's all it's going to do. It's going to escalate into something totally different, something that doesn't need to escalate into. If I stay, we going to have a problem. If I leave, we going to have a problem. But what's best for you? What's best for you is to separate yourself from the situation. Why? Because if you keep going like this, somebody going to jail. Somebody going to get hurt physically. Somebody's going to get hurt emotionally. Somebody's going to be hurt spiritually. But you, in this moment, this is when you need to be selfish and think about your continued freedom. Yeah, your continued freedom. Right? Freedom from incarceration. Freedom from physical harm. Freedom from the lack of peace that is in this environment right now. You want to be free. I'm not living my life in chaos. You go ahead with that. Love ain't got nothing to do with it. Nothing. Love has nothing to do with this. There's been a pattern. Let's not even talk about the pattern. This situation presents itself in a way that it's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable for me. It's not what we're going to do. What these all have in common is the amount of emotional energy driving this. Everyone is getting ramped up, pushing their points, saying the same thing over and over, and pulling up more and more evidence to make their case. And the evidence that they're pulling up come in the form of an attack. Now you feel bombarded. Now you feel overwhelmed. Now you got to clap back. Because I'm not going to sit here and just let you talk to me that way. Well, you should have left. You don't need to defend anything. If you feel as though they're wrong, they're wrong. Clapping back is only going to be disastrous. Right? Let's look at the source of defensiveness. How do you learn to do this? If you were emotionally or physically abused or had volatile parents, you have few ways of coping as a child. Some just walk on eggshells and become the good kids who avoid conflict. Others resort to lying or excuses, blaming or passive aggressiveness. And others go into fight mode and push back. Just talking about that, right? Because you got to reach for a source of knowledge, a source of understanding, a source of conditioning. You got to reach for it from somewhere. And if you're reaching for it as a child, the source are from the very things mentioned in your environment. Who's around you most of the time? Where does that information come from? It's all about protecting yourself from emotional or physical injury, and it helped you survive your childhood. Kids are brutal. Kids say a lot of things. They're just like, disgustingly honest. Ooh, your feet stink. Ooh, why your way crooked? Yo, did you fart or you just stink? Back to the article. But now, when those childhood wounds and threats trigger you, you go on autopilot and do what you did when you were a child. So when somebody says to you, you need to stop acting like a child, or you're acting like a child right now, is there truth in it? I'm 45 years old. I don't act like no damn child. I'm a grown man, a grown woman. Well, not in that voice, but you understand what I'm saying? I'm grown. I'm no child. You're talking to me like I'm no child. Well, you're acting like a child. That's why I'm talking to you like a child. And then the topic that we should have been discussing is now out the window, because now it's about you offending me because you tell me I'm acting like a child, but you are. In more cases than one, you're acting like a child. But this no longer works in the bigger adult world and creates a pattern that keeps you feeling like a wounded child. See, you can't say it because you think you're beyond that part. I'm an adult now. Why am I acting like this? Why am I being irrational? Why am I stomping my feet? Why am I leaving the house, slamming the door, getting in my car and flying down a residential street at 65 miles an hour when it's posted 25 miles an hour? Why am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? Why am I going outside of a good relationship and going having sex with somebody outside of my relationship as it means to feel good, as it means for this to take me away from what it is I'm dealing with right now? What are you really dealing with right now if you think infidelity is going to make a difference in what's going on between the two of you? Is that a responsible behavior? Is that an appropriate adult response to this situation? Really? Well, if that's the response, what is the question? What is the real issue? If that's your response, that's immature. Now, doing it because you want to do it is one thing, but doing it in response to, a difficulty that's happening between you and your spouse, that's just pure stupidity, because you know how this story is going to end. You know how this story is going to end. If it ain't found out now, the question is when, because it's going to be found out. It's going to show up. Here's how to stop the pattern. Stay aware of your emotional state is the first thing. A key is becoming aware of when your and your partner's emotional brains are shutting down your rational brain, ramping up the emotions and pushing you into defensiveness. See, you have to become aware of where this is going. You can use the symptoms of defensiveness to let you know you're going off track. The stacking up on facts, bringing up the past, and simply getting louder, interrupting, blaming. There's the symptoms right there of defensiveness, right? But if this ability to tune into your emotions is difficult for you, practice this in calmer times throughout the day. Check in with yourself and simply ask how you're feeling. By tracking yourself in less emotional situations, you learn to detect subtle emotions that can help you avoid going from 0 to 60. I have a Dodge Charger, 392 Henry Scat Pack. It does 0 to 60, a little under 4 seconds. Yeah. I know how much power I have. I'm not a speed freak, right? It's about power. It's about knowing that if something is coming, I can get out of its way. If I got to cross, change lanes, those things like that, I know that I can do it. I like having that kind of power in my hands. Well, that's the same power that exists in your hands as a human being. I'm aware of myself. I know myself. I can look for the resource within myself. That's a valuable one that really benefits not just me, but the other person too. When it comes down to it, how does this benefit me? So, right now, if you're watching the show, right, you're thinking. This is the time to begin to learn and apply. This is what it's telling you here. Check in with yourself and ask yourself how you feel. Ask yourself how you're feeling, right? I deal with anxiety and depression. I make check myself, check in with myself moment by moment. I can feel the change. You can feel the change. A thought. See, anxiety and depression are mood disorders, not thought disorders. Not thought disorders. So I can become anxious in the moment. I can become depressed in the moment. When I'm checking in with myself, I'm aware. Right now, you're feeling agitated. It's probably not a good time to go driving. Probably a good time to just sit still, refocus, start over again. I know that when I have certain things to engage in, if I'm doing my work, if I'm on the computer, if I'm doing the online e-commerce stuff, I know when that shift happens for me because now I'm in lab mode. I know if I'm going to do music, if I'm going to create beats, if I'm going to do vocals, I get into a mode. And those modes require focus. If there's something or someone that interrupts me, it takes me off focus. Sometimes when I'm taken off focus, I become agitated by whatever that interrupted thing is, person, right? I know then I'm more apt to respond in a different manner. Not unfamiliar. My wife's been around me 5 years, right? She knows me. I keep saying wife. I've always called her my wife, but we're going to make it official real soon. But it's a matter of she's aware of a lot of things about me. I'm aware of her and how she responds or reacts to certain things. So if I'm in the moment and I get frustrated because of her interrupting me, and I'm very direct in my response, if not then, but as soon as I can, I apologize for it because I'm aware of that. A lot of people stay in conflict with one another and have this chaotic environment because they're not aware of each other, because they want the other person to be aware of them, to appease them, to yield to them. That's not love, boys and girls, men and women, ladies and gentlemen. That's not love. That's not a part of you accepting me for who I am. You can't just act any way you want to act unapologetically. And not only that, you have to be changing that. Because if you don't change that, that means then that your intent is to force feed that person your bad behavior and then tell them they either need to accept it or don't. But that's who I am. Okay. You have the right to continue to be who you are. I have the right to not continue to accept that in my life. Bye. Oh, it's just like that? Yes. Because first, it's about my sanity. It's about my peace. I know what it's like to appease other people's bad behaviors and to lose yourself, all in the name of love. Love has nothing to do with it towards the other person. You have to love you first. You can't just continue to accept people's bad behavior. When you continue to stay, you reinforce that continued bad behavior. When people know that you're patient, that you're tolerant, that you're accommodating, people will take advantage of that. I don't care how good of a person that other person is, they will take advantage of it. You take advantage of it within yourself when you continue to allow those kind of things to happen. You're taking advantage of yourself. The next thing listed, have tools to calm down. If you find yourself getting frustrated, angry, and anxious, it's time for emotional first aid. Take a few deep breaths. Try and get your rational brain back online by focusing back on the topic. And if need be, say you need to take a break. And it's okay. A lot of times, we a lot of times we think that we need to keep this going in the direction that it's going and fight all the way down the line. And you find yourself defending, offending, all in the same breath. Because you're trying to fight against the other person's defensiveness. You're trying to prove them wrong. You're trying to deflect. You're trying to reflect. And then now you start doing the same thing that they're doing. They're saying it's you, you're saying it's them, and nobody's even talking about where we started anymore. You can just, hey, I need a minute. Period. You're not asking. Let me be clear on this. You're not asking the person. You're telling them, give me a minute. Listen to what I'm saying. Be real clear here. You are not asking them to give you a minute in the sense that you want their permission. You're asking them to give you a minute because you're going to take it. I'm not looking for you to tell me, okay. I'm telling you, give me a minute, and I'm stepping away. The other person will continue on with their gaslighting, will continue on with their blame, will continue on with their argument, trying to make their point. If they choose to, let them do it. Stay with what you just said. Give me a minute. When people say, can you give me a minute? It's not always a request. Sometimes it's a directive. And you have to learn the difference. Part of boundary setting is you letting people know the difference. So after all the storm passes and you're sitting down, that's the time to discuss. Listen, when we're in an interaction that I don't see going towards resolve, I'm going to tell you to give me a minute. Because the last thing I want to do is to come out of my mouth, say and or do something hurtful. Because I will. When I feel the need to defend myself. We all feel the need to defend ourselves in certain situations. But if you're defensive all the time, it's always a certain situation. And nothing is ever going to be resolved in any relationship. So I'm letting you know that when I feel this, when this happens, I feel this. So when I feel this, I need to walk away. I need to separate myself from this circumstance. Live to die another day. You'll understand that. Just think about what it just said. Live to die another day. Take responsibility. Again, much defensiveness is a little kid way to avoid responsibility and not get in trouble. Upgrade your adult software by taking responsibility rather than making excuses or blaming. Even if it takes time to get the courage to do it. Because it takes courage to do this. It takes courage. In the heat of the moment, this lowers the emotional temperature by acting like an adult. You, over time, repair those childhood wounds. And this is what happens. See, a lot of people get into relationships, and when you're with a person who seems to have this healing spirit about them, right? You gravitate towards them. Even the false appearance can be attractive. You just want the pain to stop. But you don't know what pain you're trying to stop. You just want to stop the pain. Many adults don't ever look at childhood experiences as a means to continuing to act in a mature way. Did I say that right? Yeah. You're acting immaturely. You're not acting like a so-called adult. I'll say that because you get so much information about what an adult is, what an adult should be, do, act. But you have to look at those things. You have to heal your own childhood wounds. And I say you have to heal your own childhood wounds because your interpretation of your childhood is yours and yours alone. I can guide you towards self discovery as a clinician. I can't tell you how to fix that. And I tell you why. Because you're going to tell me that that doesn't work, that that didn't work, that I tried that. You have to be able to get to your own evidence. I can guide you towards getting the evidence of what happened. Looking at the situation, looking at the person or persons involved, looking at the environment. I can help you gather your thoughts so you can get that thinking together. So you can go from being irrational to rational, from seeing the actual facts. That's self-discovery. But you have to heal from it. Now that you know, now you have to purge yourself of that hurt. You have to purge yourself of the interpretation that you have given yourself and change the interpretation to a more responsible, more rational way of understanding. The next one is know each other's triggers. I did a whole show on triggers and how we trigger each other and how we need to know what triggers ourselves, but also our partner. We need to know what triggers them. We know when it comes to our own wants and needs. You know, if you back that thing up, you know what kind of reaction you're gonna get. You know, if you don't come home until late at night, you know what kind of reaction you're gonna get. You know, if you take your clothes off and you just drop them on the floor, you know. So it's things that we know that we do intentionally. And when we do things like that to be hurtful or, to trigger some kind of reaction from the person, right? A negative reaction from a person, we know what we do to trigger a person's negativity. We know what interrupts their spirit. We know, but it's the things that you don't know that you need to learn about why. Sometimes a person doesn't know why, but they do know that that happens. See, those are kind of shenanigans that some people play in relationships that you don't need to be playing. You can take advantage of me by doing that. You can take advantage of me by, acting this way and acting that way so you can get something that you want. But when it comes to you understanding me as a person, as a human being, and learning about, my childhood, and this is where self-disclosure comes into play. And a lot of people, I said this in last week's show, a lot of people don't even know their partners. They don't even know their husbands. They don't even know their wives. They know their name, probably first and last name. They know who their siblings are, may even know who their parents are. They had that discussion, but you don't know who you are. And that's why relationships are where they are, because people don't try to come to know, because people think, no, that's a secret. I'm going to keep that with me. No, you don't need to know that. What you need to know that for? Why did I need to tell you that? Why didn't you need to tell me that? Why do you feel there's a need to conceal that? You understand what I'm saying? Listen to what I'm saying to you. You have to know who you're with, but you also have to know who's within. If you don't know you, how the hell are you going to sit down and tell me about me? And don't think that we're going to continue to clash, because you think that you're going to change me. You think that you're going to sit in front of me and keep telling me about me, when all these things I see that you're wearing on your sleeve, have to be told, because they're a detriment to this continued relationship. But I can't tell you about those things because you get defensive about it. Well, when did I get defensive? Well, your whole facial expression just changed. That's that nonverbal cue that you're now in defense mode. Really? I was talking to my son-in-law, and I were talking some weeks back. They came down for the holiday, and we were talking, and I was we were talking about nonverbals in the sense. And I was telling how Tiffany Bacon. Hey Tiff, if you're watching, Tiffany Bacon has this arch that comes when she's talking to you. You can see when she's annoyed or like okay, what's this all about? That eyebrow just goes up. I remember being a first time guest on her show back in Philly, and I'd never been on the radio before. This was like great. Right? She asked me a question about Daddy's Right Here, and I went down a rabbit hole because I was so excited with it, and I said, and I didn't focus on what the question was. I just was so excited to tell her about Daddy's Right Here, and I saw that eyebrow go up, and I knew from that point forward, if I ever had the opportunity to do a radio show, with Tiffany, that and she did bless me to come onto the show again, and I was thankful. But it's like being aware, man, of other people's reactions when certain things happen. Certain things happen. We seem to know when something affects us, but we don't know when something affects our partner. So next time I went on Tiffany's show, I answered the damn question. I thought first, and then instead of acting out of the yeah, and Daddy's right here, and and she was, I don't, I'm sure she knows she does that. Have a timeout signal. As soon as one of you can tell defensiveness has taken over, your rational brain has come back online. It helps you to come up with signal, a word, Idaho, or action. Throw the kitchen towel up in the air as a way of calling a timeout. Yeah, and it's okay. People, we have. It's like we're so automated, right? That we don't want to make other adjustments. It's okay. Hey, when we saw a dude throw their hat up on the docks, we knew what was going down. It became a trend. Toss that cap. It's on, right? It's on. If I take off my glasses, you know what that means, right? Like, listen. So instead of taking, if that's going to be a signal, because we're talking about a signal, timeout signal, right? When just you don't have to take and toss them, just take it and fold them up. That's my signal. Timeout. Regardless of how the other person sees it. Again, you educate them on that after the fact, after the resolve. Right? But that's your signal. That's your timeout signal. They begin to learn that's your timeout signal. Now, whether they adhere to that which has been established has nothing to do with you. You've already discussed it. Go out on the patio and take a few puffs off the cigar, the cigarette, or whatever you do. Just time out. I'm going to take a drive and go to the beach. Yeah, sit on the dock for a minute. Watch the ships sail in, sail out, sail back again. And even if you try this, here it says, and even if you try this and the other person stays ramped up, you work your side of the pattern and take a break. It's always better to do this sooner than later. And again, folks, just telling you, I'm a learned and skilled clinician. So I don't read these articles. I look at the headline and said this would be a great topic. And we had already talked about this. Walk away. You have to stick to what it is you've established. You gotta be mindful of using certain words, certain terms. Certain terms, people go ballistic and they do like certain things. So I didn't want to say stick to y'all know what I was going to say next. So I just changed the word. This is what you said that you're going to do. This is your timeout. This is what you're going to do. Stick to it. That's what it says here in the article as well. Circle back when things have calmed down. I already talked about this. Eventually, the argument ends. Now is the time when both of you are calm to circle back. This means not just grunting a make-up apology. Let me put my glasses back on, act like I can see for real. All right. This means not just grunting a make-up apology the next day or sweeping the topic and argument under the rug, but going back and having an adult conversation and solution to the problem. Yeah, I'm sorry about yesterday. My bad. No. It's going to come back. And it may not come back in regards to that particular incident. Another incident may come back. Some point you have to sit down and learn how to confront things that come up, get them out the way, and keep it moving. Don't sweep them under the rug. That's not getting it out of the way. It's like you ever go to people's houses and like their cushions have worn or the pillows have worn and they put clothes inside. Well, it never sits the same. It just enables you to sit. But it never sits the same. You got to replace the foam with foam. Whether it's a lower grade of foam or not, but you got to get a filler in that cushion. Because sitting on these clothes, the clothes begin to shift and slide and everything feels lumpy. You gotta do something about that, man. Like I was just realizing the other day. I caught myself doing it a moment ago. Like I'm doing a live show. So what comes out of my mouth, is just, hey, it's hot mic. But I found myself like sniffing and a little snort here and there, forgetting, I would just dig in myself. I would just a moment. I just wanted to just share that with y'all. That I'm because I'm just I'm authentic. When you interact with me, you're interacting with me just as you see me now, right? That's why I'm a very intense person, very caring person. I try to be as true as possible when interacting with people. So this is how I interact now. So it's just like just natural that I do this. So I would just wanted to share that with you. I just kind of found myself doing it a couple times today, and just caught myself doing it a few other times too. So no, I'm not snorting. I don't do drugs. I don't just prescribe drugs for my anxiety. But circle back. This means not just grunting a makeup apology the next day or sweeping the topic and argument under the rug, but actually, sitting down and having an adult conversation. And throughout this article, it's used the word adult, adult, adult. The implication there is that you're no longer a child, even though you'll be experiencing throughout all of your life things that were shaped by your childhood, right? You have to be an adult. If you're an adult, be an adult. We have too many children trying to be adults because we have too many adults who are acting like children and raising children, and children, it's just confusing. You understand what I'm saying here? So, but the other part to it was the challenge is not slip back into another argument, but instead talk about lessons learned, about triggers and communication. We have to all communicate better. I think I'm a great communicator, but there's great, there's greater, there's greater than, and there's only one who is greater than, right? So I can reach my great, I can reach my greater, I can be the greatest, but there's only one who is greater than. And that's the source. That's the source of freedom. Being in alignment with the creator, the one who is greater than. This is how you continue to learn. This is how you continue to gauge, how you should continue to gauge, right? Who you are, who you're becoming. Are you in fact acting like an adult? So I need to know what triggers her. I need to learn her style of communicating. I need to aid in the growth and development of those things within our relationship. And it's both ways. Because I have to learn what hurts her that I don't see. And sometimes I see it and then I don't acknowledge it. Because there's a lot of things that happen that we don't acknowledge because we don't believe that should be existing. Why do you even act that way? It doesn't matter. They act that way. If how they act interrupts the peace, the joy, the conditioning that we want in this relationship, then we have a conversation. But we get into a lot of conflicts and confrontations just because we're in disagreement about a particular behavior. Everything don't require a statement. You need to accept it. You need to accept it. It ain't that deep. Seek outside help. Even a brief stint of individual or couples therapy can help you both become more aware of when conversations are becoming derailed and teach you skills to regulate your emotions and heal old wounds. Defensiveness is destructive. Time to upgrade your emotional software. Listen. You can keep going on in this life thinking you don't need help. We all can benefit from help. A lot of people avoid counseling like the plague, especially people of color, for whatever reason. People avoid couples therapy, and they avoid it for a variety of reasons, in fear of finding the truth. Maybe it really is you. Maybe you are the reason why we're always at odds. Or that the other person is going to make every effort to take advantage of the situation to tell another person how bad this person really is to them. And then when it gets flipped, it changes the whole dynamics of counseling because you start finding out that it's you, and now you don't want to go to counseling. Or you must know them from, because you've been in the field for so long. You probably know who they are. They're probably just on your side. Oh, I think she has a thing for you. We go into counseling. I can see how she sits and this, that, and the other. Well, I can see how he focuses on a lot of conversation from your end, like he's supporting you, like the Jedi mind trick. It works in your relationship with your partner. Therefore, you put it to work no matter where you go. If you're truly seeking to be free, if you're truly seeking to have calm within yourself, peace within yourself, use the counseling. If you're really seeking to have a future, a life with this person, try some counseling. But we keep avoiding it because of what people have told us. People keep using affordability as an issue. You can get counseling if you're getting subsidies from the government. You can get counseling. You can go to a meeting. You can find a meeting, a couples meeting. Couples Anonymous, I don't know what they call them, whatever it is. You can find a meeting to get with other people, man, to learn how to stabilize yourself first. Scripture tells you save yourself first. Then you go back and save your family. Then once you satisfy that, you've impacted your community already because your house is in order, your home is in order, their lives are in order. Now you can go apply this to the community. We have so many splintered and so many traumatized individuals that we can't even get ourselves together. We can't get our families together. We can't get our society together. Hell, right here on earth. Learn the existence of heaven on earth. You've already, for so many people, have been experiencing hell, which is right here on earth. Right? Learn how to experience heaven right here on earth by getting your house in order. By taking a look at you and learning how you affect other people. And learning how other people affect you, not through the lens of blame, conflict, and controversy, but from the perspective of your unresolved childhood trauma. Some of the things that you just continue to hold on to, which doesn't make life any easier. It's just not going to go that way. You just have to, you got to change. All of us got to change. I don't care how great you think your life is and how you've arrived in particular areas of your life, but you need to start looking at that, man. You need to start looking at what I can do to make my life better. I want to be better today than I was yesterday. Some people only seeking, monetary gains, and they're happy with that. They're good with sitting down wearing designer clothes all the time, and that's the extent of their life. Going to the store and eating at fancy restaurants, and just being able to do those kind of things anytime they want. You'll be faced with humility. The old saying goes, if you're not humble, you'll be humiliated. You'll be humiliated. I know what it's like to not be humble and be humiliated. I know what that's like already. Been there, done that. I've experienced that hell. Right? So, anywho, we are at the hour. Make sure you check us out at aleemforyou.net. There's so much merchandise, man, on our Redbubble site, on our Etsy site. Go to our website, aleemforyou.net. Click on the button, and it will take you to both of those sites. You click on right on our website. You click on the Redbubble store. You click on the Etsy store, and you'll see all this merchandise that we have. There's also merchandise on our website at aleemforyou.net. Our Contrado store. Our Contrado store is a boutique, so you have boutique prices on that connect. We have umbrellas, we have quality leather bags, uh, raincoats. It stays there. It's a boutique, right? Also, we have wallpaper. We'll design wallpaper for you, any design you want, any design you want. Wallpaper, yeah, we'll change the look of your whole entire room. We'll do nurseries. We'll do wallpaper for your nursery. Whatever you want, we'll do it for you. Yeah. All you have to do is go to aleemforyou.net, click on consultation. It'll send us a message. We'll set up a free consultation. We'll have a conversation with you about what it is that you're looking for, what it is you desire to have. Yeah, we'll do all those things in that free consultation. It's a 30-minute consultation, right? So when you come, come prepared, come with all of the questions that you have. We'll do it with you, man. We'll walk through it with you. You can change. You listen. You don't have to stay with the old drab walls. It's a peel and stick. If you want the glue, we got those too. We got the ones where you got to put the paste on and do all that, but we have the glue and stick, right? I'm working on some car detailing stuff. I'm getting ready to start detailing my own car. We have Cricut cutter and all that kind of stuff. We have sublimation. We have DTF. We have all this stuff right here in the office, right here. And then we also have our e-commerce stores. Make sure you check us out, man. aleemforyou.net. As always, you can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning and sitting here listening to my mouth. But here you are. And if you don't get a chance to join us on Saturday, you take the opportunity to go to the Sabir Aleem Educational Station on YouTube and check everything there. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Who believe that turning the other cheek will be a deterrent for the predator who wreak havoc on God's creations.
New music.
Blaming the victims for their being victimized, hoping they'll continue standing when their weak principles cower when they return to violate them.
When you're living in the mouth of madness,
and again,
there's always something coming your way. Whether it's tune, skip, stripped or strewn, rip, flip, tsunami or monsoon, it's inevitable in the course of a day. After a while, it all tastes the same. Staying in your lane is the name of this game. Never look back, it'll drive you insane. A nightmare for sure, chaos of theory. I just want to scream, but no one can hear me. Ooh, feel the devil's burn.
New music.
Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Parents' lives riddled with strife, their unresolved, a traumatic life. Then They bring into it a child. Wanted to feel good for just one night. Both no good, then one took flight. I thought you understood. What a life they gave me, pleading God come save me. Professed religion's words enslaved me. 3/5 of a man they made me. Why must I plan for a future when being present was never my choice? Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn. Oh, feel the devil's burn. Oh, feel the devil's burn. The devil's burn. Educators, journalists, and religious leaders patting themselves on the back. Colonizers, indoctrination, true knowledge they lack. They're merely babysitters for the capitalists, doing the bidding of the nationalists, basking in their passiveness. Damn socio-pacifists, all so naive, just have to laugh at this. In the best interest of a child, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how America's courts dishonor this, incarcerating parents because of positive piss. In a free world, again, legal cannabis, not a nightmare for them. A manufacturer's bliss. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. In this life, you don't get what you earn. Treat it like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Government does anything but treads on democracy, just running amok. Flames from insurgents, your tail, your tuck. Don't look now, he's back, you're out of luck. Dictating the mood, house in session. The popular vote, the people's obsession. In 2028, no Democratic Party selection. Ancestry soul, rotten stone, behold. Category for deportation, the move is bold. Illegal transportation, hiding the hand is old. The majority plot, see the 14th Amendment brought, saving their slot. Minority not now, sinking in, skin too thin to win. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. Ooh, feel the devil's burn. The devil's burn. Devil's burn.
Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you go to aleemforyou.net and check out the merchandise. Peace.